I'm JT Albrecht, Deputy Sheriff. I don't get excited about guns. Oh, I like that one.
I am just fresh back off of the range, testing the Sig Sauer P320. My curiosity about this gun stems only from the fact that this is the gun that they picked to be the United States Army's M17 sidearm. This coming off of something called the Modular Handgun System selection that they went through, these trials and errors and everything else. My biggest question is with striker-fired guns, why they went with the Sig. Now, I fully get that, the Glock is like the Casio G-Shock and the Sig is sort of like the Breitling. Okay, I get that. But in the Sig P320 is not like the Breitling. It's like the Casio G-Shock with a Louis Vuitton band. Because this is the Sig Sauer Glock. So naturally, with my affinity for Glock as a weapon, not so much as a company, of course, and that's a story for another day. But with my affinity for Glock, the platform, for what Agency Arms does to them, how they turn them into these combat masterpieces, my question was, why wouldn't we just go with Glock? SEALs went with Glock. I'm sure they're going to enhance them a little bit as well. And that was my question. Now, I remember when the FBI was after the Miami-Dade shootout, how they went to the 10 millimeter and they had to get away from the 10 millimeter because of not everybody had the same size hands. They couldn't grip the Smith & Wesson 1006. And apparently grip size came into play with these selections as one of the things they wanted to consider. And right off the bat, when you're looking at the P320, the geometry from front to back is narrower this way than the Glock 4th Gen. So right there, that tells you right there part of what had to go into their decision making. These grooves on the sides of the pistol. At first, before you get on the range and actually start pulling the trigger, they're a little disconcerting. Then when when I was sticking the gun out there, everything made sense. Not everything is great with the gun as far as for those of us that are civilians, when we're buying a Sig P320, which apparently right now are very hard to get, and I was very lucky, thank you, Upstate Army Group, for helping me get this one. The whole market of accessories and modifications and everything are about to open up for this gun. A few things I don't like. Now, first and foremost, at this price point, I think things should be a little better for the consumer. Suggested retail on this gun is between $5.99 and $7.99 according to Cabela's. I don't know what it actually works out to in the street. I know what I paid for this one. Okay, and at this price point, when you're looking at what you get in the box versus what you get with Glock, which you get one more magazine, you get a magazine loader, well, that means a little something for those of us that are civilians that just want to pick up a gun and go. But there was two other things that I found out about this gun on the range that I wasn't particularly happy with. Two things that strikes me. One, it's a 17 round magazine. It takes a whole lot of effort to get that 17th round in. The holster that comes with the gun is junk. Not the holster, the paddle. That thing will dance all over you. So when you get the gun, which, well worth getting the gun, get another holster to go with it.
And the Glock magazine loaders work very well helping to load that magazine.
So once you get past the magazines and the conundrum of not having a holster after you bought the gun thinking that you have a holster, once you get past those things, I think the gun is a very good sidearm for self-defense. I can see why the Army, with the Army, they're looking at parts. Now, this gun is meant to be switched around. The gun part of the gun is what actually makes it, the serialized part of the gun is right here in this window. If you can see that right there, if it's going to focus for us. There we go. That all lifts out of the gun. The barrel, the slide, and the frame are all just part of the husk, if you will. So the Army is probably, I know that I heard that the Army paid $207 a pop for these. That's a pretty good price. We won't get that one. And the kits, probably to refurbish them as they're going along, this will be one of the easiest gun systems to maintain that probably the United States Army has ever fielded. So I can see why this also got picked for that reason, for that modularity. It already has forward serrations on the slide, which is going to make it easier to manipulate as you're going along. It has a gigantic trigger guard. Now, we used to have mittens that had a finger in the mitten so that we could engage our trigger. I'm sure that came into play because they don't want to have any negligent discharges. They will be fitting theirs with a frame-mounted safety, a la the 1911. I get it. I completely understand it. The combination of the grip size, which will fit more people, the modularity of the gun, and the fact that the gun comes out of the box with most things that a lot of people want to put on it. Okay, I'm a believer. As far as the trigger on this gun, I don't know what to think about it just yet, simply because the trigger is part of the gun. You can't replace the trigger, as far as I know. Now, I'm not a gunsmith. I'm going to be researching this. And today I can't call anybody to ask about it. I'm going to be looking around and getting some ideas about it. But you can replace, Apex makes a straight trigger, straight up and down, which may make it feel a little bit better. It's just a little spongy. The trigger itself has a pretty good reset. And maybe, since it's part of the gun, maybe it just needs to be shot a bunch of times in order to, break it in. So we'll see. As it was, as you can see by the shooting, I didn't have a whole lot of problems. It's a very, very controllable gun. If this is a gun you decide that you want to purchase to carry, okay, this is the only one I have any experience with this size. I would like to try the Glock 19 sized one just to see how that feels. There are those that would say, well, Bill, just buy the frame. I sort of like to have complete guns. I don't like to have kits laying around. So I'll probably wait till I see that one on the shelf somewhere, and then I will buy that one, and then I'll have two, and that will be all I need, For me, Sig, the weight of this gun, the fact that it's striker fired and everything else, this is the kind of Sig for me. You get the Sig name brand, the Sig pedigree, all of that R&D and everything else, and modularity that the United States Army has adapted. It's a pretty good package. Well worth buying. Find the show? Same old adages apply. GCN Live, lockandloadradio.com. Find it as a podcast on Ammoland. Also find it as a podcast at Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Tunein, 147 different ways. If you're looking forward to it on a radio market near you, contact GCN Live and look for one young Adam Miller. He will make that happen. It doesn't cost anything to have the show on the radio. Or at least nobody's paying me. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, maybe subscribe. I'd appreciate that. The work continues on, the fun continues on. But despite all of that, it's never been about gun control. It has been, it's always going to be about total control. I bid you adieu.